Writing a penetration testing report is critical, but here's the problem. A lot of reports don't merit results. They simply list issues, but they don't drive impact.
Therefore, we've broken it down into 10 rules that will make your reporting clear and impactful so that your findings will be more properly addressed. Let's get started. Your executive summary is for the decision maker big dogs, the C-level executives. But it is often overloaded with words that non-technical people can't understand. This is a grave error. Keep it brief and focus on the big picture, your risks, impact, and recommendations.
So write it like a story. What's the problem? What's the consequence? And what's the fix? Keep them hooked with what matters most to them. Your report isn't written for one audience, but for many. Executives need to know how these vulnerabilities affect the business, but the engineers need to know the technical details as to how to fix these vulnerabilities.
Therefore, structure your report so that it addresses both perspectives. One size doesn't fit all. A good report has a clear flow. If the sections are scattered or hard to follow, the reader will get lost.
Therefore, it's important to organize your report into sections. For instance, the scope, the methodology, the actual findings, and the recommendations. This helps enhance clarity of the report. You found vulnerabilities, great, but without context, the client won't understand anything. They need to understand the why and the how before they can understand the what.
Set the stage first, explain the finding and where the vulnerability was found and its impact. Then your findings will hit much harder.
You found cross-site scripting, but so what? Without showing impact, it means nothing to the client. So was the threat actor able to steal session tokens or bypass access controls? In your testing, you should try and go as deep as possible with each vulnerability to show the greater impact to the client.
Demonstrate real-world consequences. A risk without an example is just a theory, but showing an impact makes it urgent. Technical jargon may seem impressive, but it can confuse the reader. If they don't understand the issue, they won't act on it.
Therefore, try and write as if you are talking to someone who is smart but not technical. If your grandmother could understand it, then you're probably on the right track. Not all vulnerabilities are equal, but the client may not see that. Highlight for them what's a critical versus what's a low, and give them a clear sense of priority.
Therefore, use severity ratings and CVS scores. Make it easy for them to focus on what really matters first.
Words are great, but visuals are a game changer. Diagrams, code blocks, and screenshots communicate faster than words ever could. And it helps break up the walls of text in a report. So I highly recommend using them.
Back up your findings with screenshots. This stops your report from looking like a giant block of text, and it also adds a bit of credibility to your findings. Clients often see suggestions like fix this, but they need more clear, actionable steps that they can follow.
Therefore, give them a playbook, step-by-step instructions, and a prevention list. The easier you make it for them, the faster they'll fix it. Your report could be amazing, but simple mistakes can ruin it. Mistakes make you look sloppy, and clients probably wouldn't take you seriously.
Therefore, always proofread, use tools, double check the details, and make sure your report is polished and professional.
And there you have it, guys, our top 10 tips to write better reports. I hope you learned something new today, and if you did, please leave a comment down below. If you guys want to check out how Clint and I would start hacking again from scratch, click on this video on screen now. And if you enjoyed this video, a like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated. And with that, happy hacking, and we'll see you in the next one. Peace.
We could have ended the video there, but we wanted to do more. Let's actually put together a pen testing report. We begin with the executive summary.
We begin. So the first thing you want to do is start by saying who performed the test and for whom. For example, Clint engaged Cybersec Pty Limited to perform penetration testing on their web application infrastructure. It's simple, clear, and right to the point.
Next, we talk about the objectives of the test. You need to tell them why you are doing it. For this example, the goal is to test the security of the web applications and see if a threat actor could compromise it. By framing the why, you are making the test meaningful right from the start.
But we need to add context. Therefore, mention the time frame. When did the testing happen? Include the dates and who was the point of contact. We rated the overall risk level as critical due to the nature of the vulnerabilities found in the application. For Simon's company, we identified 3 criticals in the application. It is important here to mention the severity, as this sets the urgency. Then give a brief non-technical overview of your findings.
But what is actually tested? That's where the scope comes in. This is where the agreed upon targets to be tested are listed. In the case of a web test, this could be URLs or a list of externally facing IP addresses.
But what techniques were used? Were these manual or automated methods? The allowed and disallowed methods of testing are listed here. Clients often ask not to directly test for denial of service vulnerabilities, as this could take down their business services.
Next up, we can list the findings and what categories they fall into. In the case of a web test, this could be the OWASP top 10 categories, but you would use any framework that makes sense for your test.
Okay, moving down to the technical findings. Let's take a look at a real-world example of a vulnerability we would see. Default credentials. This one is a classic, but still common for both Clint and myself. In this example, we identified that a web administrative portal was using default credentials. Now, this is a critical issue, as it means anyone who knows the default username and password can gain full access to the admin panel. Imagine logging into a company's dashboard using the username and password admin and password. Just like that, you're in.
We start with an overview of the finding. This is the finding heading, applicable CVEs and the CVSS, and other headliner information. This is followed by a list of affected assets. In the case of the example finding, this would be the URL of the login panel, plus the URLs of any other login panels where this finding is present. The description is structured as follows: the finding that was found during the testing, a brief overview of the service that was exploited and what part of it was exploited, followed by a brief one-liner of the risk. Keep it concise, watch out for unnecessary verbosity, and remember, some poor soul has to actually read this thing and fix everything.
Now you have given them what's wrong, but honestly, why would they believe you? You might think that the fact that they've hired you would be enough, but you will be mistaken. This is when you list evidence for your findings, screenshots, and code extracts.
Now that they can see that you are not a charlatan, you can give them an in-depth explanation of the risk and the recommendations of how to secure what is vulnerable.
Awesome. We have written up all of the findings now. Now we need to give a bit of extra information on the test. So next up, we have the testing methodology. This goes through the framework that we use to categorize the findings and the tools we used during our testing.
Finally, we have the appendix. Sometimes during a test, you can get a list of assets from here to the moon. Your report will look ugly if you put them in the scope section or if you are listing them in the impacted assets in the finding write-ups. So refer to the appendix and put them there.
Alright guys, there you actually have it. If you guys enjoyed this video and would like to see how Clint and I would start our journeys again if we had to start from scratch, then this video on screen would do just that. A like and a subscribe would be greatly appreciated, and we will see you in the next video. Peace.
Stop.